Hong Kong's security chief has been promoted to the number 2 post in the city's government. Carrie Lam says the appointment will improve national security. For a closer look, we're joined now by Dr. Lim Tai Wei from the National University of Singapore. Good evening. Dr. Lim, what message is China sending by promoting these figures to top office?
Good evening to you. From Beijing's perspective, the message is that there is an importance and emphasis on law and order. For these 2 individuals to Beijing, John Lee and Chris Tang, they are known to be decisive, tough-minded, and they've also overseen events associated with the national security law, as well as the Apple Daily media issue. So they are sort of well-known in terms of law and order candidates for the Beijing, the central government. And according to the Hong Kong media, they were actually appointed on recommendation by Chief Executive Carrie Lam, who has also highlighted their credits in terms of law and order issues. So overall, the package is law and order comes first as the priority for Beijing, the central government, as well as the current chief executive.
Well, the government says that the national security law has brought stability to the city. At what cost?
Well, there are some critics who mentioned that perhaps the incoming security chief, John Lee's experience, perhaps is not wide enough because his portfolio has been concentrated on security issues. However, the chief executive, Carrie Lam, has also said that because the security department, the bureau, is the largest department in the civil service in Hong Kong. Therefore, there is a depth of experience that is strong enough. And also, it is not, according to her, the first time that an outsider has been appointed to the position of chief secretary, because in the past, a businessman by the name of Mr. Henry Tang was also appointed in that position. So it appears that this is a sort of a stability in exchange for people who are sort of, according to Ms. Lam, they are familiar with the government, particularly in running a department that is considered one of the largest within the government itself. The overall accent in terms of the theme of stability, as articulated by Mr. John Lee, the incoming chief secretary, is economic stabilization, societal stabilization, in order to cope with economic challenges that are coming up in the post-pandemic situation.
Well, on the point of that stability, Dr. Lim, Carrie Lam has said that these changes are going to lay down this good base for when her term ends next year. So what does this say about Hong Kong's future trajectory?
If you look at the words mentioned by Mr. John Lee, the incoming chief secretary, he says that he will back Chief Executive Carrie Lam in battling the coronavirus pandemic and also boosting the economy thereafter. So apparently the accent is really, again, on the law and order stability, followed by coping mechanisms to manage the economy, because there's a lot of anticipation that the coronavirus will cause a lot of challenges for Hong Kong's economy. The other sort of trajectory that you can see in this appointment is that the authorities want to have the authorities, both in terms of central government and Hong Kong government, is that they want to have a smooth implementation of electoral changes ahead of the polls, right? We have 2 upcoming polls this year. The election committee in September and the legislative council in December. So in this sense, these 2 individuals will probably be instrumental in preparing the national security legislation under Article 23 of the Basic Law. So in that sense, I think the trajectory is towards what Mr. Lee himself has said, quote and unquote, effective governance.
Well, thank you very much for giving us some perspective into these promotions in Hong Kong government. Dr. Lim Tai Wei there from the National University of Singapore.